Continuing our game of Shadow Empire. This will be the third part in the series, and we are at the start of turn 14. And so we ended turn 13, and that was kind of right after we captured our third minor regime city here. And now we are kind of starting to think about what's next. So I'll go ahead and look through this turn's decisions. So we got a food theft in Boston. Let's see. Unfortunately, in Boston at this point, I don't think we have any troops. And so if we wanted to punish them, we would probably need to move our units back into there. And really, neither option is great, so we'll go with the interrogate option.
Order acknowledged.
And we actually got a critical failure and arrested and accidentally killed the wrong guy. So that's unfortunate. We got a huge increase in unrest and actually had a bunch of credits stolen. So not a great start. Let's see. We are starting to look at then new governor for Cilia, the zone we just captured. I'll wait on that as I want to see if there are any leader cards I can play. Zone upgrade. I'll go ahead and pass on that. I don't really have any reason to upgrade at this point. Military research. Let's take a quick look. I don't think we really need to change that. We're continuing to research side skirts, which we want.
Yes, sir.
I don't see any need to change anything from a national budget,
Roger that.
so we'll keep what we have. Oh, and okay, we can also potentially have a second advisor. Unfortunately, our leader options, I think, for choosing that advisors are fairly limited. So let's go over and take a look to see if we have any leader cards. So we'll go ahead and play Recruit Junior. Let's check if we can afford to take on the extra meritocracy. And at this point we really can't. We're already seeing pressure between democracy and meritocracy, and we really want to try to keep democracy up above kind of the 60 threshold, so that then we have a chance at getting the next level of political bonus. So we'll go back, and so we got really just those three leaders then to choose from. Governor is really more important than the advisor. So we will determine governor first. So Jamie has a great profile that lines up well, so we'll have pretty high relation, but overall is a cap 1 with only 19 intelligence, so very low potential, and currently has pretty much nothing that is actually useful for a governor. Duncan also has nothing that is really useful for a governor, but his profile is less ideal, but he has higher potential as he's a capability 2 and has 32 intelligence, so probably about a wash between the two of them. Kind of depends if we want the higher relation versus the higher potential. And Cyrus, who I believe is the new junior we just recruited, is a little bit better because he has improvisation. which will give him a little help on everything. He's also a Cap 2 and 39 intelligence. Unfortunately, his profile isn't a great match, but I'd really like to choose him if we can. Unfortunately, he was not nominated. And so, in order to select him, I think what I can do is actually appoint my advisor between one of these two, and then it should give me the option to make him the governor. Again, I don't think neither of these is really an ideal advisor. He would be an okay advisor to like an OHQ, because he at least has some war stats. And Duncan is pretty much the same deal. He has a little bit of war stats, personal combat, and operational command. It's pretty close to a toss-up between the two of them. I think Duncan's probably slightly better, just because he at least has a little bit more growth potential.
Yes, sir.
And then for governor, we will
Copy
appoint
that.
Cyrus. Alright. Let's go ahead and take a look at our strat cards. I don't think we've really found any other miners at this point. Oh, we did actually. So here's the new zone we just captured. And we can on, I think because we sent a spy here last turn, we can see Maxia Union. Let me take a look on the map to see if I can see much about them. Okay, so I was kind of right last video. Their city's pretty far down to the south. And they are a farmer. So, shouldn't really be threatening. Again, it would be nice to eventually pick up that city, but I don't know that I want to send my army all the way down this road here right now, as I'd like to probably concentrate my forces back up towards the major that I found and head north. So we'll see if we're able to piece them. We might just do that. Let's kind of see. Proposed peace. We could piece them. They may go for an offer of protection.
Roger that.
So peace failed, so we'll have to try again next turn. I don't think we really need any of those. Fat Merchant's a decent card because it generates casino and gives extra cash to the private economy. But what I'm going to do is play high-tech vault. The big reason is I really need the machines. I'm down to only 2 machines, and so I'm either going to have to start spending a chunk of money to buy machines, or I can play this, which gives me kind of a nice chunk of machines, as well as rare metal and high-tech parts, which I can sell for more cash if I need.
Copy that.
So we got 27 machines, so that should hold us over for quite a while. We'll go ahead and do a quick scrap. I don't really have any interest in playing bad rations. And at this point, I don't think I'm ever going to really need that to take the meritocracy hit. I want to keep treasure hoard in case I really need the oil. And fat merchant's pretty good. Great speech, I think, does some happiness stuff. I don't really hardly ever play that card. This Shadow Spy really isn't needed because I'm really only getting base spy cards. Medal of Merit can be worth it. I may actually try to play that this turn. And Political Aid Truck can help. I think that helps keep readiness up. So we may try to play that on one of our better units. Medal of Merit gives Charisma plus Relation and Seniority. I think we're going to go ahead and play that on our military advisor because his relation is, he's the one guy I think that our relation is kind of low, but he's pretty good, so we want to try to keep him happy.
Roger that.
So that should work out pretty well. And if we kind of look at our cabinet overview, it's not too bad now. Zeno's a little low. Yeah, and unfortunately he again is high autocracy, which is probably one of the reasons that it's not great. But again, he's a pretty good leader, so we're going to try to be creative to keep him happy. Alright. So I'm going to check out the new zone. It does have a few perks. Looks like just hot baths, which gives some extra happiness. And the city itself, both assets are still damaged. It's getting some food. But it consumed most of the private food stocks it had. So we'll go ahead and call the new governor and do some zone orders. Bump up the worker salary. Recruits bonus just to the standard levels. And allow emergency food. So this is the farmer, he's kind of in this area. There's a miner, which is a territory, so he doesn't have a city down in this area. This is just non-aligned forces back here. And also non-aligned forces all the way up through here. So really besides the road kind of leading down to here, I'm not really interested in pushing in those directions at this point. So we can see actually now that the major is kind of pushing towards this miner's borders already, so he's right next to it, so he may capture this miner. So I think what we're going to do is try to push all our units up here fairly quickly and probably declare war on one and or both of them depending upon if the miner survives much longer. For some reason his action points are really low. I'll leave him in the city and then few units in the city to help push down the unrest initially. The tanks will kind of be able to catch up as they're able to move pretty far. I may also consider strategic moving them to save on oil. Although I don't know that I'll have the logistics points to do it. Looks like this unit's just continuing to kind of sit here. Same with the arachnids. And Boston took a huge chunk of unrest, which is really unfortunate. I'm going to move that unit back in and push him here. Alright, I think I probably need to build a few independent machine gun battalions just to help deal with some of the border pressure in a couple places. Okay, so we're really low on ammo. I think we probably need to produce about 200 or so.
Yes, sir.
To fill all of our units back up. We don't need any replenishment troops right now. Trade, we have a pretty good stockpile of cash. Rare earth metals are at a pretty good price again. But I think we'll just sit on the rare earth metals we have, as we may need to use those to build a few solar plants. And so what I want to look at is construction wise. So I have industry 2, and so we can see we got a pretty huge bump. So industry 1 I think produces I want to say about 50. Industry 2 produces 200. So we can see, I think we were down pretty close to 0, and we were up now at 300, so we're getting a lot more IP a turn now. But we still, billing-wise, want to try to now get Industry 3. But that's 5 rounds of 900 metal. So I'll check our metal production. We can see we're producing about 762. We do have some stockpile, about 2,000 or so. So we're pretty close to being able to build that. I think last turn we started another recycling plant to try to increase the metal income. But metal is definitely going to eventually become an issue, as this metal mine has only about 13,000 metal left. And so I think I'll go ahead and build a couple independent units. Let me first check my councils and see. So military, we're still doing side skirts. And model design, we're going for that other recon, kind of a new recon buggy line. So I'm going to raise a machine gun up here. Oh, I actually can't. I'm guessing the reason I must not have any extra logistics points up there. Well, that's quite a bummer. let's take a look at logistics points. Okay, so yeah, we used up everything in that direction. We have a little bit down in this direction. I'm gonna go ahead. I'm a little concerned if this unit moves any closer. I'm gonna have to at least get a 3-unit block on him just so he doesn't get any closer to me. So we'll build a machine gun there. I think Seattle's okay. I wanted to build one up here, but unfortunately I don't have the logistics points to do that. The other thing I wanted to look at doing, I think here would probably be, maybe if I have enough, is starting to look at getting a 2nd infantry brigade. And so I have all... I'd have to buy a little bit more ammo. I do have enough items, but it would use the majority of my IP. Or no, actually I don't have enough IP. It costs $350. So I think it's kind of between building that infantry machine gun brigade or I probably don't quite have enough metal to start the next level of industry. It's fairly close. I guess if I'm getting 700, I would have, what, about 2,800 next turn. Then, what, 34, and then 41, so yeah, a little short. I could, potentially, I don't think I can upgrade my bureaucrat office. That's the other thing I want to try to get a little bit more points going so my research speeds up. I built the one in that last turn, so that should help a little bit. Okay, I think if I go, I'm going to go ahead and raise that formation.
Yes, sir.
Alright, so we got our new formation here. We'll change the color. I tend to like the bright colors. I think it's just easier to see them. I'll go with a bright blue. Alright, so we got our 2nd infantry brigade. Now we only were able to raise, looks like about 60% of it across the board. Mostly because we didn't have enough IP. But that's okay. We'll fill the rest of it up kind of as we go. And then I'm just going to use, buy a little bit more ammo.
Yes, sir.
To hopefully fill up the rest of the units that were a little low still from attacking down here. Okay. We'll take a quick look at logistics. So we really want to block, send as much this way as we can. So block almost everything that's going that direction. already blocking this way. So all these points are really coming from that truck station. So you can see he's sending almost all his points this way. And this should then improve. We're seeing a much stronger kind of flow in this direction. I want to try to now send most of it up this way. So I will do the same with this city and limit most of it going that way. And I don't really need to send a lot this way. So I'll also block this one. And so this will push the majority of my points up in this direction. Yeah, I think that's probably good. Yep. Zone border wise, I should probably take a quick look. So generally I try to keep my zones. Sometimes I'll just make the capital zone really big eventually because I want it to pick up a lot of the free folk. But I try to leave a little bit of free folk in most of them. So I can see there's a huge amount of free folk here. I might actually expand. I'll expand my capital zone to pick up that free folk there. I'm just gonna finish this side off. So now we can see we have a lot more free folk here, a lot less there, which is fine. We mostly want to focus population into our capital city, since that's where we'll be getting most of the higher tier buildings. So that's where we'll need the population. I'll just clean up the zone borders a tiny bit more around here. That's good enough. And I think that's good for this turn. So we'll go ahead and end our turn. So kind of doing a little bit of a recap at this point while we kind of wait in between turns. You know, this is the third session where that was the end of turn 14. A good start, kind of a lucky start. We started near a lot of the miners. We've now taken out 3 miner regimes. So Seattle was farmers, and Boston and Cilia were both raiders. And so that gives us a good starting base. You know, we have 4 cities. And at this point, I think we're going to move the majority of our forces north and kind of try to figure out what's going on between the miner that's over there. Oh, so we can see kind of that some attacks are going on. Oh, I think the major just captured it. But we'll have to double check here once the turn starts. If so, that miner will disappear and the major will then have all of his territory. In which case we'll have to decide whether we want to try to start a war with that major now, or whether we want to kind of delay and build up our forces further. From a kind of a building priority standpoint, it's good that we got Industry 2. Next priority really is Industry 3. Once we have a little bit more of a metal stockpile, because it is going to take about 4,500 total, we'll probably start Industry 3. And then once we have that started, we'll again continue to try to increase our metal production anywhere we can. And unfortunately, at this point, it'll be mostly picking up some recyclers on the rune hexes, unless we happen to discover additional iron mines, metal mines. Alright, we still got time of relative calm. BP assets is at 3 levels, so we kept that promise. Our new recon buggy, Cooper Plus, is designed. We found, so this is a GR unit, Hellraiser. I don't remember what Hellraiser is. We'll have to take a look at that one. Let's see. Yeah, there you go. So the major now controls that, and if we look at the strategic map, essentially that whole border now is all the major. And so really, like, our options are, we could have tried to take out one of these miners because they do have a road leading out. They're both pretty far. So I think we're going to prepare for war and look to actually attack him. I think, but now that we have 2 infantry brigades, and what we'll also look to do is then build additional light tanks and attach them to this infantry brigade, just like we did to the first infantry brigade. Here we go. Here's the GR unit. Oh, Hellraiser. Its main armament is an atomic fission missile. Due to the lack of correct munitions, it can only be used in a single attack before being rendered inoperable. I've actually never got one of these. I think I've read about it. I think, given that you can only use it to attack one time, I think the best thing to do is actually just scrap it. So I will move it up to my capital zone and then scrap it.
Yes, sir.
Let's see what we got. So we got 10 radioactives, 1 food, 109 metal, 7 machines, 4 rare earth metals. So not bad. Radioactives are awesome, and they're difficult to get, but unfortunately we won't really be able to use them for a while. But they are worth a lot. Really out of that haul, the 7 machines, at least in the short term, is kind of the big prize. But we'll see. So I think we're going to go ahead and just move everything towards Boardmont and more or less try to declare war and then blitzkrieg him. Let's see, demand the government reaches at least 59.
Understood.
Okay, so we'll get a new org and we'll new target for model design since we completed the buggy. Protests in Cilia. We'll take the democracy option and just pay a little bit of money.
Copy that.
Appoint commander. Let's see if we have any cards. Nope. So we are either stuck with him or we use no one at this point. He does have decent war stats. We also, I forgot to use the advisor, which in this case I think works out. I think I will probably use the advisor on to advise the guy I just appointed. So let's take a quick look. So those are the two OHQs we have. Caleb is very, very good. He doesn't really... Oh, he already has an advisor attached. I forgot we used our first advisor on him because he was also war. So that makes the decision easy, I think. Yeah, so we'll go ahead and
Standing by for orders.
attach him then to the second.
Yes, sir.
It's kind of normally you don't try to attach advisors to OHQs. In this case, they just really aren't good for anything else. For here, we're definitely gonna go Economic Council.
Roger that.
And let's check our organizations. Okay, so we have one more turn before we get side skirts, and then we will redesign our tanks. Is there anything else we want to redesign at this point? Not really. I think we'll go no new orders, and then next turn start the light tank. So switching over, we can check the new buggy model. Okay, so much better. So we can see the structural design is 104 this time, so slightly above average versus 78, which was really, really low, really below average. So this buggy's actually decent. So we may try to build a few of them. The hit points, especially because it's a hard targeter, are pretty good. Its soft attack isn't too bad, and so it can be kind of used to fight against infantry, machine guns, any kind of soft targets, as long as they're not like RPGs. And so it didn't get any move plus or minus, so it will have full movement. And fuel's pretty low, 0.9. Alright, so we'll go ahead and keep moving all these units up. So he does appear to have a pretty good number of units around that city. Let's take a look and see if it's worth strategic moving any of these. I don't think we're going to have enough points. Double check. Yeah, he's a weight of 180. He's a weight of 104. So nope. They'll either have to walk or wait. I'm going to move the two tanks up. may do is just build an independent down here to help with the unrest for a bit. I didn't really want to leave my good units there. Great. So that neutral appears to have backed off a little bit. Okay, so kind of we're able to just reclaim a buffer. And this guy's kind of staying put, so we're okay here. Yeah, at least we still have some fear here, which is helping with the unrest. And essentially just move that whole stack forward. I do want to build, and so again we can kind of see our industrial points went up pretty well. 450, which is actually even maybe a little more than I thought we were going to get. So if we look at assets, start turn. Oh, we also got a light industry in Hawking. I think the rest of it's just service tax, yeah. Just from having a number of cities. So each city generates a little bit of IP just based on essentially I think it's based on population. So that means we are going to be getting 450 a turn, which is pretty good. And metal went up 760. And so I think that would mean we should have enough to start industry.
Copy that.
So I'll start industry. I will need to get a little bit more energy once that's built. I actually should have looked a little closer. How much does that actually cost? So I'd want to try to be limit how much metal I'm spending, since I need most of that metal to go into Industry 3. I have a little bit of a buffer. And then this is 150 IP per turn. Okay, so I still have about 300 IP to play with. What I want to do is fill the rest of these units. Actually, I think it'll just be easier to do it this way. Oops, I think I needed 16. Yep. So those will fill the rest of these units up. That leaves me about 200. And I think here. So we can see I'm starting to hit the limiting factor of recruits. I could increase the number of recruits I'm getting per turn out of hawking. Because until these get high enough happiness to move over to regular zones rather than unincorporated, they do not give any recruits. I probably want to be getting 1,000 recruits a turn. So I will actually call the governor.
Copy that. Copy that.
Okay, that should be good there. I'm going to close this little road loop. Still okay, I think, in logistics. This city. Yeah, so it's generating. I'm gonna go ahead and nationalize that. I think this one I'll probably just wait a few more turns. It's not actually producing anything anyway. Okay. I'll grab a little bit more ammo just to have a little bit of a buffer.
Yes, sir.
Trade. I don't think there's going to be really anything worth selling, and I don't think I need to buy anything yet. Still really low on fuel. That's probably the one that's still pretty restrictive, and so I'll have to think about whether I even have enough fuel to build any more light tanks. Again, I may just have to be very careful about how much I move them around. Actually, I may just sell rare earth again because the price is pretty strong. Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and sell those just to be safe.
Yes,
Yeah, so at this point, I have a pretty nice cushion. I'm really not worried about money at all anymore, which is a good thing. I wanted to check, I can't remember the treasury cash flow. Okay, so I am paying pretty decent salaries. Yeah, so we're pretty good there. And we have enough of a credit cushion now that even if we get low on like food or even oil, we can pretty much just buy it. Okay, so we have about 100 IP left that we could use. We can't build any more units because we don't have any recruits left. I think building wise, I do want to build bureaucrat offices up here as well. So I should have just enough to do that.
Order acknowledged.
this direction. I think that should be enough. I'm trying to let enough go down here that maybe I can strategic move that kind of infantry unit that's fallen behind. And then, oh, this is where we messed it up. There we go. That looks much better. I was all of a sudden it seemed like the numbers were really small, because what we want to happen is we want the logistics points to flow up so that we can pick up the resources here and here, and then they actually flow back in along here, and so add into additional points. So we should be good there. Happy with that. And then I forgot. I don't think I did anything with strat cards yet. I was gonna propose peace again with this miner.
Roger that.
There we go. And then we'll try to make him a protectorate next turn. We have one spy to use. I think I'm going to use it here. Fortunately, using spies on majors, they may end up dying. But I think it's still worth it to at least see, hopefully see, and hopefully maybe he lives for a few turns. Okay, that's pretty much all we have there. So I think we're good. I think we moved everything. Quick check. I didn't forget any units around here. Okay, so we're good. And so the replacement should filter into the 2nd Infantry Brigade, and that will give us 2 full-strength infantry brigades. If we have the IP, extra IP this turn, I may start trying to build the light tanks to attach to that. I'm also hoping now when I move my units forward this turn, I have enough recon to start seeing kind of what units he has around that city to get a feel for if we think we're stronger or not. And then building priority wise, I'd like to continue to try to increase bureaucratic points now that I started Industry 3. I just got to be careful not to spend too much metal, because I need some of that stockpiled to make sure Industry 3 completes in the 5 turns and it's not delayed. Alright, we can see the major shuffling around his units along the border. in elsewhere. Just some of the neutrals or territory miners just kind of shifting their units around. Nothing we care too much about, just want to make sure they kind of stay at least a few hexes away from our cities. Gain conflict resolution. Got side skirts, so we'll start a light tank design. Take a look at decisions. Minor worker strike. I will gladly pay 33 credits for democracy. We can see democracy's getting pretty good. I'd like to go for the democracy. Oh, that deadline's around 31. We got plenty of time. We can figure that out. Make sure our quality of life increases by, we have like 15 turns to do that. Okay, hopefully we have some leader cards, otherwise we're going to have to potentially fire someone from something else to try to put a leader into Economic Council. Alright, so we got a junior. See how he did. We got Dina, Silly Path. Alright, Cap 3. Decent intelligence, very high strength, but that really doesn't help much. She has very high deception. That doesn't really help us. Unfortunately, I don't think there's really anyone, like the two advisors aren't really any better than her to be the Economic Council leader. And I don't think our, I can check the secretary. Yeah, he's not any better either. And really there's nothing else I could fire or get rid of. So I don't think I either postpone or appoint, so I'll go ahead and take her. If I start getting some better leaders later on, I may kind of make a pass at trying to go back and replace a few of these because they're not that great. So for economic, most of the economic policy cards are poor, so we don't really care about that. Let's focus on discovery, not research, and then I think we'll just split prospecting and discovery. So prospecting, the hope is to actually find both some oil and some metal deposits. Discovery, the hope is to start discovering a few of the economic techs, and we'll take a quick look at the ones we actually want. So you can kind of see power plant, we don't really need. Solar plants are plenty good for power, we already have that. Don't really care about university, it's just a quality of life building. Hydroponics is one of the ones we do want. That allows us to produce much more efficient food assets, and eventually we are going to have to increase our food income. We don't really care about water soil. Metal soil filtration is really good. That's probably the most important at this point. That allows us to build in our cities a metal soil filtration plant that generates metal without having to need to deposit. So getting that up and running and then upgrading the levels eventually generates a pretty absurd amount of metal. And then you don't have to worry about deposits anymore, but the initial levels of it are pretty expensive and they don't generate that much. And then heavy industry is good because then we can actually build machines. So we'll see what discovery gets us, and then if we do discover something we need, we'll switch over to researching it. quite enough recon in that direction yet. I think I'm gonna send. Okay, yeah, these are all full. So I'm gonna send these ones up and kind of handle the northern part of the front, and then have the first infantry handle the southern part. I was gonna try to strat move him. I can. Okay, so I'll strat move him to here. So the one thing we have to watch out for here is the type of territory. So the sand actually is really bad for tanks. So unfortunately, you can see all of this initial area here is sand, which makes our tanks fairly useless. And so I'm going to put the tanks up kind of here and try to use them to more or less push directly towards Boardmont. And that did give me a little more vision, so I can kind of see these are just his infantry. He does not have combat armor on these yet, so you can compare that to this, and you can see these are much stronger. Okay, so he's also currently using field training posture, which is great when you're not fighting. Gives you more experience growth. But if we can actually attack him while he has that on, it gives him a pretty big negative modifier. So negative 60 attack and negative 40 defense. Take a quick look at my cities. Yeah, I'd love to have a few more troops here. So he's probably standing right there. That's fine, we'll kind of keep him. Oh, and our arachnid friend finally moved. So I would prefer not to use this large of a unit to just block him. And I don't think these units could really do any significant damage to him. So I'm going to shuffle around and use those three to kind of block him off and move this one out towards towards either the front lines or towards garrisoning a city that has unrest. So we'll just continue just trying to keep these blocked off as much as I can. I forget, do walkers get... I wanted to see if they had any... They don't get any negative impact. So that's good. Okay, so next turn we should be able to get these kind of in position here, and kind of the rest in position here. And then if it's looking good, I think we will probably attack the following turn. So we can see Industry 3 chugging along. Our metal stockpile took a pretty big hit. And we have about 300 IP this turn to work with. So we could build another tank. So we have probably just enough to build that. Again, need to be careful about the metal. But if I get in a really bad pinch on metal, I have enough cash that I could probably buy some. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that, because I'd want to try to get tanks for this one. I can't see. So I have enough points here is probably the best place to go ahead and raise that light tank. Actually, I don't want to do that. Just remembered, I almost made a dumb mistake. So the reason I don't want to do that this turn is I want to call my model council.
Standing by for orders. Wilco.
Do a model design and redesign light tank, because I have side skirts now and I need to redesign in order to actually add them on. I have not seen that he has any significant armored forces yet, so I'm going to stick with the howitzer gun, not the high velocity gun. Steel plating wise, I think against infantry, I think that 25mm is probably enough at this point. And ideally I would put a heavy diesel in it, but that's going to chew up a lot more fuel. So I think I'm going to stick with a light diesel. That will cause a pretty big movement penalty, but it should make it so I'm eating up a lot less fuel per turn. So they'll kind of be slower tanks, but for now I think that's okay.
Wilco.
So in that case, I will save that till the following turn. We are getting a little low on food, mostly because I think we're providing emergency food. I could try to build. Let's see. This is already recycling 2. I could upgrade this recycling to try to get a little bit more metal, plus a little bit more fuel. I'm going to go ahead and do that.
Copy that.
And then, so I still have almost 200 IP. Okay, on ammunition, I don't need any replacements. Trade, there's nothing I really need. Again, I may end up needing to buy food or fuel here, but I'm okay for now. I could raise some more formations. I think down here I'm going to raise one independent machine gunner. Maybe a second one. And once the city's unrest goes down, then I'll use these as kind of like picket units and kind of create a small border around the city and then maybe kind of march up this way to make sure he doesn't kind of push any units down here. So I'll go ahead and actually build a second one down here too. Okay, so that leaves me with about 100. I don't know that there's anything else I don't think there's much I could build with 100. I guess, I think in this city, I will build a bureaucrat office down here.
Copy that.
So that should be pretty much it. And then let's take a quick check on logistics. Since I don't need a strat move, I can get rid of most of the points set down in that direction now. Just kind of whatever the city needs and maybe a little extra in case I want to build any extra units down there. I think at this point I want to push a little here in case I want to build, actually maybe a little more because that's probably where I'll build a unit. And then I want to push a little bit up this road as well. So I kind of start getting ready to kind of line up the 2nd Brigade up here. Should be good. I think that's probably it. Oh, I think I totally forgot to play Strat cards this turn. offer protection. This one I already did it. I don't think I can make that happen. So we did get one spy in there. Try to get one spy in here, and that failed. And they were insulted because it was a critical failure, but that's okay since I'm probably going to attack him anyway. Okay. So I think we're good. We'll go ahead and end turn. So things are looking pretty good. I think the last couple turns I've been able to build a couple bureaucratic assets, so I should see my bureaucratic points go up, and research should be happening a little faster now. I'm waiting in my capital to get enough quality of light points to raise the civilization level, which will let me upgrade its bureaucratic asset to the next level. And that'll really be a more significant jump, because I think that generates, level 1 only generates 50 points, level 2 generates 200, so that's a pretty big jump. So it looks like he's doing lots of shuffling around, but for the most part it looks like they just moved back a little bit. He does appear to have a pretty good number of units, at least numerically, but at least everything I've seen so far is essentially just infantry. If he actually has tanks, it would get quite interesting, because I don't really have a lot that could deal with tanks besides my own tanks. At that point, I would probably hope to research RPGs and or redesign my light tanks to have a high velocity gun. Okay, so we discovered a water deposit. That's not really helpful. Okay, so quality of score already beat our promise, so that's good. And we got our Blitzer 2, so our upgraded light tanks, we can actually see visually the side skirts now on it. So it's looking classy. And that'll rise our civilization level since the quality of points went up. So we can upgrade our bureaucratic asset in our capital now, which is good. Okay, model design council. So we'll have to think about that. I don't know that there's much more we can do. We've already redesigned infantry, machine gun, recon buggy, light tank, artillery. I pretty rarely build anti-tank guns. They're pretty expensive. I generally would rather build tanks. Maybe the only, if somehow he got medium tanks or heavy tanks and light tanks just couldn't handle them, then I might have to switch to anti-tank guns. At this point I'm going to go no new orders and try to discover some new models. I'd like to pick up RPGs just in case. So minor strike in Boston, take the democracy. request and help fight Syndic cells. Okay, so this is coming from the major. We're about to try to attack. So we probably don't want to help him. It would take a huge hit to our government score. Unfortunately, a lot of our leaders would like that. But we're probably going to take the relation decrease and the government bump. And unfortunately, it's going to take a huge hit. I think the reason is because these both have high autocracy. That's kind of what they like. So that's unfortunate. We'll check to see if the odds on that miner have changed at all. My diplomacy skill went up a little bit. My odds are low. I could send another spy now. It failed there. Oh, actually, I'm pretty sure the difficulty went up. At this point, I don't think there's a pretty good chance of failure. I'd probably rather get some into here.
Roger that.
So we'll try to grab maybe a spy in each of those kind of neutrals and miners kind of around him, so we kind of have a feel for what's there. I did get one fate point, so I could play Fat Merchant. The other thing I'm going to do is let's do a scrap run. Get rid of open contact for now. Get rid of one of those. I'm not going to use bad rations. Recruit Merc is crazy expensive. We got Submissive Rogue 2. An able Submissive Rogue has been convinced to join us. Okay. I guess it just gives you a leader that I'm guessing is a kind of a covert ops type leader. I don't think I've ever seen that one before. I guess let's play it and see what happens.
Roger that.
Okay. Let's see if he's any good. Okay, so actually he has a high streetwise, which is really not used in a lot of things. He's really not very useful. That's kind of a bummer. It sounded a lot cooler than he actually was. I'll finish just scrapping. These two are okay to keep. Feast is kind of useless. I don't really need gladiators either. These two might be useful. I should probably play my political aid trucks. Okay, we're good. I will have to take a look at food actually. I think it's still mostly emergency food, probably to this city. 82. So that's definitely a chunk of it. but I may need to upgrade. The farm asset I have. Don't know that 244 is cutting it at this point. So it shows we produce about 400. Yeah, so we have about a surplus on our capital of about, it looks like 200. I think we should actually have enough after all the emergency food dies down. And it's probably trying to build some stockpiles is the other thing. It's close though, because we do need about 200 for units. Actually, we probably are a little short. So I'll have to consider upgrading that. Otherwise, I'm going to end up starting to have to buy food fairly often. Debating whether to declare war on him now. Just making sure I was still in supply. Leave him there. Probably need to sit here for another turn or two. Yeah, those troops are helping diminish that by a few extra points. So it gets down to 10 or 15, then I'll probably move them out. Seattle's starting to look good, so it's gotten rid of all of its unrest and everything. Happiness is going up. And it just finished light industry, which is excellent, so it'll start generating a little bit more IP out of the private sector. And it's got its bureaucratic office, which is good. Let's see actually how many bureaucratic points we're getting at this point. So 276. So that's not bad. Given that we only have 4 councils. Sorry, we got economic now. Yeah, so it kind of balances about a quarter to each of them, so they're each getting 60, 70 points. Generally, if you put more than 100 in any individual line item, then you start getting a penalty. So you can usually, most things have at least 2 things you want to put things into, so you can kind of go up to about 200 in each one before you start getting diminishing returns. So we still have plenty of room to get more points. So I think we're going to go ahead and declare war and kind of see how things go.
Roger that.
I guess I probably should have checked before I declared war on him, but Okay, so he is in second place score-wise. Could see I have a higher population and a slightly more of the planet. But none of that really matters that much. What really matters is who has more units and whose units are better. Okay, so his city is in a plain sand hex, which is unfortunate because that means my tanks will not attack well into the city. Interesting. Okay, so this is a GR unit, which means it's a pretty strong infantry unit. It has lasers, but it only has 300 of them. Okay, interesting. So it looks like he removed his training posture. That's unfortunate. I guess maybe he saw the writing on the wall. I'd like to see. I can't yet see any of these units to see what posture they have. Oh, so these ones are maybe the ones that I saw before that were in field training. And they don't even have a commander right now. Interesting though that this is his third light infantry brigade, which means he probably has 3 infantry brigades. I can see just one of them. Actually, oh, that's just an air command. So I could try to attack the city. He has, it looks like militia, and then a GR unit. The downside of taking the city right now is he'll probably generate a bunch of danger in it because I don't think I can move this stack yet. I could be wrong. I think because he has so many negative, I actually should attack that stack. So we're going to do that first. Kind of see what happens.
Going in.
So we're getting good hits.
We need more firepower, sir.
But we ran out of readiness went down. We did get a good amount of experience. Our morale stayed about even. The good news is it looks like this, he literally must have just raised that unit because it shows essentially 0 experience. And we pushed its morale down a little bit and its readiness down since a good portion of it retreated during the battle. But it's a little unfortunate that it didn't fully retreat. We're going to move this one back. So then we have our tanks. That GR unit's fairly strong. I don't really... Somehow I got 2 of those GR units. This one also has lasers. So I think what I'm going to do is attack that one instead.
Bring in the tanks. Mission successful.
Okay, so we pretty much crushed that unit. So I just kind of want to fill in. Look at the terrain a little bit. Yeah, so I'm going to move these 2 forward, I think. As I move in these kind of units to kind of reinforce. Still kind of marching this one over. Okay, I think that's pretty much all the units, so an okay opening round. I kind of wished I would have pushed this unit back. One of the issues I'm probably going to run into is there's a mountain range behind here, so it'll be very difficult to try to, what I would like to do is like encircle a chunk of his units. But unfortunately, I don't think I'll have much space to do that, and the sand also is not great for the tanks, so my best bet is trying to take this kind of behind right here, use kind of the infantry to push here and maybe grab a couple units. Otherwise I may just have to kind of push them and just capture the city and kind of let them sit in the mountains and just kind of block them off and then head north. Let's see. So we're definitely going to need to buy a bunch of ammunition. Probably need at least 300. It looks like I think we lost 1. Yeah, we lost 1 infantry, so we'll replace that. We should be okay on trade. Our food is getting questionably low, so I may buy a chunk of food. I think I'm going to buy up to about 2,000 food, so I have a little bit of a food cushion.
Yes, sir.
I think we'll be okay in oil. If we end up trying to build another light tank unit, we'll need more. So let's take a look. So he did not have enough. Oh, weird. For some reason it didn't send enough points. Not sure why it's only sending 100 up in that direction. It's kind of strange. It's kind of a bug in the algorithm or something. So I'll just have to let a little bit more flow up through here, because I want at least 200 here to build that. But I'm still okay in logistics points. Now that these cities are coming online. Yeah, and this one's almost fully, so it's generating pretty good points. Now that this one's starting to repair, I'm going to go ahead and nationalize it. I almost always nationalize the truck stations, otherwise you're going to end up having to build them, like build stations somewhere else, as the private ones are really weak. A little bit more flow forward. Okay. So I think that looks pretty good. We'll kind of see what he does. Ideally, he actually attacks me some to kind of waste some of his readiness. Looking at what I can see now, unless he somehow moves a bunch of additional units here pretty quick, I should have the superiority of force. I have about 200 IP left. I just need to be careful not to spend too much metal. I'm going to upgrade the solar panel field, because I'm going to need that extra energy when Industry 3 completes. And then, let's see, I could set one unit. One independent machine all the way up here. Just So that looks good. It already did strat cards, I'm pretty sure. So we're good there. Yep. Let's go ahead and end it. See what happens. Yeah, and if it doesn't seem like I'm continuing to push forward and win battles, I'll probably switch gears a little and try to save all the IP I can to try to put out some more light tanks. But this turn should give us a feel for what this is going to look like, because he'll probably move in whatever units are kind of close by. And we'll kind of see if he has any armored forces, if it's kind of mostly just infantry. It looks like he's just kind of shuffling them around a little bit. We can kind of see some more, I think, coming from the north, maybe. Okay, so he did attack me. I think he mostly looks like he's losing these battles. That looked like he bombarded me. I don't think he killed any of my tanks. So we'll see what the total battle outcome was. I didn't see, it's hard to watch them that quickly, but I didn't see many losses. It looked like he lost some on his side, but I didn't see hardly any on mine. He attacked in a couple different places. Okay, so we killed 800 infantry, so it's a start. Okay, we kept our promise. We got 2 regime feats, so we got open politics and state companies. Discovered VidCom broadcasting, which we don't really need. Okay, so let's take a look at what we can see over here. And pull up the history. Once you're at war, the history can help. Okay, so we can kind of see he used a big stack here and attacked that new machine, that brand new machine gun unit I sent, and he actually lost 600 infantry, and I lost nothing, even though he outnumbered me like 5 to 1. And then he tried to attack this primarily infantry stack that was behind my tanks, maybe to try to cut them off. But he didn't attack with very much. He essentially just used these 2, the GR inf stacks, which are strong, but very few units. It seems like a almost silly attack, and he lost half of them. Then he bombarded me with artillery. He attacked me with what appears to be nothing. It's kind of weird. I've never seen an empty attack battle, or maybe I just couldn't see the units. Not sure why it showed that way. So this stack, because it attacks, should be fairly low on combat readiness. Let's see if he changed his postures. He still has field training in these ones. That's one of the things. The AI is pretty bad at using postures in general. There's some things the AI is decent at. Deciding which postures to use is not one of them. So we can see he put one of his, the first infantry brigade, which is like this grayish Keller, they're on all-out attack, which means their infantry get a huge attack bonus, but take a huge defense malus, and also cannot entrench. So it makes their infantry very easy to attack, but it does make them kind of deadly on the counterattack. And these are still doing field training, which doesn't really make any sense. Like, they are low on experience, so field training makes sense from that standpoint. But if you're going to do that, you need to move them back, otherwise I'm going to smash them again. So we'll take a look at decisions before we kind of shuffle our unit attacks in. I don't think... don't need to upgrade any of these little towns yet. Hawking... we will need to upgrade that. Let me take a look at Hawking, actually. So we'll need to upgrade Hawking so that we can build then Industry 4. It'll also cut our quality of life now is fairly good. I just wanted to make sure I wasn't going to go back below the 9. 9, you need to have at least 9 civilization in order to have a level 2, so that you can upgrade the bureaucratic asset. So I'm actually going to go ahead and take that and upgrade the city. Neil wants total power over a state. Do you grant the request? Definitely not. So I'll take the mind option.
Yes.
I do have a couple leaders. I should probably take a quick look at leaders because a few of them are a bit low. Economic, VidCom versus university. I don't think either of those helps me much. I will switch to VidCom. Reason being is I want to get 3 techs research and engineering so I can unlock the next level, because there are some pretty good military techs in particular down here. So we'll switch that. We'll check to see if we can offer protection. It's almost definitely not going to work. Scrap one of those. Scrap Rebellion. Ancient Archives, decent. It's very random. It essentially gives you like a random deck. I don't really know. It's worth 9 points to scrap, so I might just scrap it for the points. It's an interesting card. I personally think it's a little too random. Oh, I keep forgetting to use the political aid trucks. We'll do that this turn. We'll just scrap it. Thinking Co. A junior Thinking Co. has been convinced to join us. If played, mine +4. Okay, yay. Got a good card. Let's go ahead and play that. Probably won't give us a good leader because it says junior, but it does give us mine +4.
Roger that.
Let's see who we got. I think it's this guy. No, that was the guy we already had. Oscar. Alright, Oscar. You are... not great. Decent. Oh, OHQ commander because he has a decent stat there and he has tank tactics. The good thing is his profile is awesome, so he will be super happy. But he's only a cap 1 and most of his stats are low, so we'll probably end up throwing him as an OHQ commander later on if we build another infantry brigade. So we'll go ahead and play. Okay, so we've started to generate some of the oh, weird. I think there are still a few units I can upgrade. Whoops. It's okay. Anyways, we will go ahead and play one of the political aid trucks on this dude. So political aid trucks makes it so at most they can lose 25% of readiness points during combat. Okay. I think it's better to put them with infantry because tanks tend to not lose that much readiness anyway.
Roger that.
But honestly, I'm not 100% sure. So if anyone does, feel free to leave me a comment.
Roger that.
I'm just kind of embedding them in the initial infantry that I have, as these infantry are pretty good, and I'd like to keep their readiness up where possible.
Roger that.
Okay, so we played those cards so that we didn't forget this time. Okay, so we can kind of look here. Wow, that is a big... Okay, it's just a big militia group. Not really sure. Okay, so here's the group that attacked this. I don't have enough recon there yet to see exactly what they are. So move him up just to take that hex. I don't think I can get enough units probably to attack here. So I can't really block this unit off easily. So I think I'm just going to push him back. Oh, he must also have a pretty good armor. And the saturation. I think... I should still win that, I think. Yeah, he only has 2 units, so... Killed one of them. The other one retreated, and now it's sitting here, which is good. So again, the terrain is a huge impact here, so tanks will not attack well into here, and will also not attack well into ruins. So I really want to use the tanks kind of in this direction as much as possible. So I'm going to grab both of these and try to smash that large militia unit.
Bring in the tanks.
Yeah.
Mission successful.
Yeah, so that was a pretty easy win there. But killed a number of units, got a bunch to retreat. His value should be dropping pretty steadily. So mostly trying to get some space here, because when I take this, I ideally want to push these units back so they don't generate danger in the city. so he's in all-out attack mode. I think I can probably beat him one-on-one.
Going in. Mission accomplished.
Yep. Okay. Kind of just slowly rolling up the flanks here.
Going in.
He had a few more, I think, than I thought, but I think I'm still alright.
Mission successful.
Yeah, got good kills. And his morale's getting low, which means even if they're not surrounded, they can surrender if their morale gets low enough, I think. These still actually have a few action points, but not a lot. I think I'm going to actually attack the city.
Going in.
Oh, he actually does have a pretty good number of tanks. I don't know that I'm going to be able to hit those tanks. Oh.
Mission accomplished.
Never mind. Okay, so we took the city. That's good. This is a legit light tank battalion, actually. I think they're pretty new and fresh though, so I don't think they had very high readiness or experience yet, or morale. So we can see what he has. Okay, so he still has decent field training. The postures are really killing him here. I could use this artillery. It costs a lot to fire it though. I don't know that it's really worth it. Unfortunately, I probably cannot push all those units back, but what I'll do is I'll move all these into the city. Probably try to attack something here. Let's see. I think I'm just going to try to smash that stack with everything that can hit it. I don't know that I'll... Unfortunately, I don't have a lot of action points, so it's going to be a very short combat. Yeah, so I needed about one or two more rounds. I did get good result though anyway. I didn't actually win. But he had some units that were low enough, I think, morale, that he actually surrendered, actually killed, probably because of the tanks. I was able to actually kill his tanks, and then a number of these kind of died or ran away. So, pretty good result. I think the only thing I have left is this. And this unit. So I'll go ahead and attack there, since it's only a couple units. Maybe get a few hits.
We need more firepower, sir.
Not much there. That one ended up not doing a whole lot of anything, really, to either of us. I think I'm pretty much out. I need to move this one hex back. Generally you don't want to leave your HQ on the front line. I think if your commander is directly attacked, there's a higher chance of him dying. And so, unless you actually want to kill off leaders. If you want to kill off leaders, then you can put them in OHQs and put them on the front line. And then they're more likely to die, which, if you have really bad leaders, can be an effective way to get rid of them. Oh, sweet. We got a new militia unit. Hopefully it just spawned this turn. If it spawned earlier, I didn't notice it. Okay, cool. Arachnid is still just chilling. Just shift him one hex that way. Unfortunately, all these stupid units keep shuffling down this way. I would much rather them shuffle that way. But, as is life. This city... I'll leave him in here another turn. I've been able to push whatever unit was there back pretty far, which is good. Probably, oh no, I get good supply because I have a road here, actually. Okay. What is this? Oh, okay, that's a mercenary. That would give me 300 more recruits per turn if I can grab that. But I'm getting pretty far away from my city at this point. I want to check what's left to construct. Okay. Yeah, so you can see I have 3 buildings all being built and all making progress. And so I got very, very little IP this turn. So I have to be careful until some of these complete, because I'm really not getting much. And you really don't want to grind that down to 0, because then you really, if you need to build some emergency units or replacements or ammunition, you get in a tight spot. So I will replace the 1 infantry unit I lost. And I'm going to need a chunk of ammo this turn because I did a lot of attacks. So we'll produce 150, that'll bring us to 500. That should be good. I don't think anything's really worth selling. Our food is okay. It only lost about 100, so we have a decent cushion still. I don't really have enough to build any buildings. I don't think I need to raise any formations here. I'd like to save up to try to build a 3rd brigade, as well as once I have the IP to build some more tanks. Actually, I would like to swap. So I'd rather have this unit actually fighting. I'd rather put a machine gun over here if I can. These ones are all fine. I'm okay leaving those ones as kind of herders. Those two are okay down there. And then I'm just kind of sitting on that one for now. I think we're good there. Let's take a look at logistics points real quick. Okay, so we pretty much got a big mess now. It's good we have enough here now. I can probably cut this one. We'll leave that at 80. Push most of them north. Because I really want to eventually head this direction. I believe is where his other city is. And where most of his probably backup troops should be coming from. Okay. And then next turn we'll kind of have to play around because we'll need to put a governor here and a few other things. Unfortunately, this one is going to get some danger, at least this first turn, as I was unable to push back these stacks enough. But it'll be interesting. He may just flee at this point. Now that he's lost the city, I don't know exactly what he'll do. Alright, I think we're up at about time here. Yeah. So, another good session. I think a good place to end it on, too, seeing as we just conquered what was originally a minor city from the major, who had just captured it. So kind of getting to see some warfare against the major regime, but things are going well. I think, again, unless he has some serious backup troops or really puts out some new troops, we should be able to handle everything that we see pretty well. Hopefully push these back and hopefully see him take some major casualties and then kind of start driving up towards the north. But yeah, I will leave it there. So thanks everyone for joining, and hopefully you'll join me for the next video.